Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Genshin Impact video. We're going to be talking about the brand new information we've received about Arlecchino and Clorinde, as well as another 5-star unit called Sigewinne. We've seen her in the Archon quest, but more or less about Arlecchino and Clorinde. Now, these are going to be one of the most interesting 5-star units we've had in a while. Now, Arlecchino and Clorinde, they're both going to be focusing on being DPS units. Now, it's not confirmed that Clorinde is going to be either an on-field or an off-field support, but it is confirmed that Clorinde is going to be an overload and a electrocharged, unit. She's going to be using, her electro application in being a driver, as well as being used in teams with Arlecchino. Now, Arlecchino is a pyro main DPS. She will be one of the strongest, if not have a burst similar to the strength of Raiden Shogun, and her high base attack, not her base attack, her normal attack and charge attack multipliers are the highest in the entire game. Now, that is something that's kind of crazy. It's actually really cool to see that, we've got our latest Fatui Harbinger since, I don't know if you want to class Wander as a Fatui Harbinger, because, he kind of removed himself from the, sort of memory of everybody. But the reality is, ever since we've had Child, we now have Arlecchino, and she's going to be very, very strong. Her E and Q increase in damage over time, and allows her to have Pyro Infusion, which is amazing. So she's going to just have insane Pyro application. She's not going to be the best for vaporizing or melting. She's specifically going to be focusing on Overload. Now, when we're talking about Overload, we know that we got Chevreuse, who recently just got released, and she's a very good Pyro and Electro support. Now, we actually may be getting ourselves some brand new artifacts as well to boost damage for Electro and Pyro reactions. So if that's Electro Charge, if that's Overload, if not any other crazy strong reactions that would do focus on Pyro or Electro. This doesn't necessarily focus on Hyper Bloom or any of those things. It's specifically niche to certain reactions, Overload and Electro Charged. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Arlecchino is going to work, because again, she is supposed to be a polearm 5-star unit right now, but that can change. Everything is subject to change, but Arlecchino is looking really, really good. The only thing I can say is Arlecchino as of right now is looking like she's going to possibly power creep Hu Tao. The only reason why I say that is because she is, we haven't had a Pyro main DPS that is as good as Hu Tao, if not on par with, Hu Tao's damage. You could argue Yoimiya, but Arlecchino is like the biggest Pyro main DPS we've had in a while, because the last time we had a Pyro main DPS or a Pyro DPS was Dea, but she didn't perform to everyone's expectations, because she was completely designed for a completely different role, being defensive rather than offensive. When we're looking at Clorinde, she is going to be a very interesting character, and she opens up a really nice team. A quick swap, in my opinion, allowing 2 DPSs on the same team. And when I say 2 DPSs, I mean Clorinde and Arlecchino are meant to synergize really, really well. They're meant to go hand in hand and be stupidly strong together. This is what I was talking about. I spoke about this in the live stream quite a while ago, and I mentioned this. In TCG, the meta used to be Yoimiya and Ayaka, and that used to be a very strong team where you would go ahead and you would, you'd do Pyro application with Yoimiya and hit multiple people. You would use her burst and it transfers Pyro to each person over time. And then you would have Yoimiya going crazy with her normal E skill, and just doing crazy Pyro damage. Then you'd have Ayaka with her elemental burst, where she just blitz and absolutely melts everyone. And I thought Wouldn't it be cool if Genshin introduced a new type of playstyle where they have two DPSs that are so good that you can have like one support, one buffer, and two DPSs on the same team? Not just like, you know, how you do like a hyper carry team where you'd have three supports and then one main DPS that just takes everyone's support damage and increases their own personal damage, you know? Because you've got some supports that don't have any personal damage but increase the damage of other players. And you've got some supports that, you know, have really good damage, you know, like Fischl or Xingqiu. Or Sucrose, and they really provide a lot of benefits. You know, Zhangling, they do a lot of self damage, but they also buff a lot of other characters. You know, I think it would be really fun if they had two main DPSs in one team, but it's not like one's broken and the other one's broken. It's like together, working and synergizing together, they're strong and create a really fun team based on their overload reaction or whatever reaction they're focusing on. I'm really looking forward to seeing some things like this because I personally, as a, you know, someone who's played the game for over 3 years, I get very, very, very bored of using, oh, let me just use Bennett, use Kazuha, use this, use that, use all my supports, and then do my Raiden Shogun Burst, or, you know, do Hu Tao E and then charge attack, or, you know, use Farina. But, you know, I find it boring when I just have so many supports against one main DPS who does all the damage. It changes things up a bit. It makes it exciting. So I really hope that Clorinde and Arlecchino change Genshin when it comes to the playstyle. And Arlecchino is meant to also have a interesting elemental skill where she reduces her HP and increases her attack speed as well as her crit. So Arlecchino is very focused on base attack and very focused on attack percent and critting and crit damage. It looks very interesting. I'm very excited for it. And Clorinde as well. When I say about Electrocharge, I think it's Sigewinne. She was the nurse at the infirmary, or at the, you know, the underground prism in Fontaine. She is going to be a Hydro 5-star support, if not a sub DPS, and she's going to primarily focus on doing as much Hydro reactions as possible, or like, I wouldn't say similar to Nova Lab, but I mean focus more on Electrocharged. Now, Clorinde and Sigewinne are meant to work really, really, really well. So I'd love to see what they do with Sigewinne and Clorinde together. It'd be very fun. And I'm excited to see what they bring to the table, because Clorinde, I only put Raiden Shogun in the thumbnail because Clorinde is subject to change again. Everything that I'm talking about is subject to change. It is literally saying in her kit that apparently she can change, if not increase, the energy recharge of the entire team based on HP fluctuations. So the fact that we're getting all these HP mechanics similar to Furina in these kits, and it's like, whoa. If you're that strong, Clorinde, and you're working well with Arlecchino and you provide ER, holy shit, Raiden Shogun's gonna have a bit of a competitor. I'm not gonna lie to you, unless I'm coping. But I hope I'm not coping. But I would be coping because, you know, to have the Electro Archon power creeped by a 5-star Fontaine unit is kind of like big, in my opinion. You know, Venti got power crept by you know, Kazuha, but I don't see anyone power creeping Nahida because Nahida's the Danger Archon. You know, you got Farina. No one can do what Farina can. Unless you want to use Novalet, but he solos the Abyss. But those are just my thoughts, and I guys hope you just take this with a grain of salt, because, you know, anything can change, it's subject to change, and if you guys are looking forward to pulling for Arlecchino or Clorinde in the future, and seeing how Overload and Electrocharge changes the meta of Genshin Impact, I'll see you guys all in the next one. It's been your boy, peace.